Intro music.
The leader declared the infant to be the Antichrist and that the sacrifice would help prevent the end of the world. Yeah, pretty chilling, right? It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, not something you'd find in a news report. But that's exactly where we're starting.
Because that quote and literally everything else we're about to talk about all came from one single search. The word was Chile, and the source, a QAnon research board. So, just to be clear, this isn't an explainer about a country. It's an explainer about the chaotic, contradictory, and frankly, just bizarre portrait of a country that you get from one very specific, very strange corner of the internet.
What we're about to explore is the digital identity of a nation, all pieced together from hundreds of totally disconnected posts. You ready? Let's dive in.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start with Chile as a window to the cosmos, then pivot to its role as a stage for geopolitics. From there, we'll dive into a nexus of conspiracy theories, uncover some truly unexpected human stories, and then, at the end, we'll try to make sense of all these conflicting realities.
Okay, first, let's ground ourselves in something solid. Because among all the noise, one theme came through loud and clear: Chile's incredible, absolutely crucial importance to modern astronomy. It really has become Earth's eyepiece to the universe.
The posts were just filled with references to all this groundbreaking science going on. You've got the Vera C. Rubin Observatory, which has the world's biggest digital camera, the Very Large Telescope, or VLT, which recently took the very first picture of a baby planet being born. And it's all happening in the Atacama Desert, one of the driest places on Earth, which is perfect for these powerful instruments, like the Atacama Cosmology Telescope that's literally mapping the oldest light in the universe. And to give you a sense of the scale here, the Rubin Observatory alone vacuums up 20 terabytes of data every single night. That is like streaming over 4,000 HD movies, night after night. So, how on earth do you even manage all of that?
Well, the solution is a system they affectionately call the data butler. It's this incredibly sophisticated process that filters through 10 million potential cosmic events each night, and it only alerts the astronomers to the ones that really matter. It's just a perfect blend of massive hardware and really, really smart software.
But you know, it turns out those telescopes aren't the only powerful instruments watching Chile. As we're about to see, the search results also paint this picture of a nation caught in a constant tug-of-war between global superpowers, with a long history of some pretty shadowy operations. And according to these forum posts, this is nothing new. They allege that way back in 1970, the CIA was actively trying to incite a coup against President Salvador Allende. A few years after that, the very same CIA official was apparently linked to the controversial dismissal of Australia's Prime Minister. And then, you fast forward to today, and you find posts claiming the US is warning Chile not to partner with China, kind of dusting off that old Monroe Doctrine, basically treating the region as its backyard. But here's the thing. Even here, the narrative is completely split. One post goes hard on this confrontational US stance, warning that China lays traps and corrupts countries. But then another post, quoting a different US official, points to a much more hands-off approach, basically saying it's a multipolar world and, quote, the Chileans are going to do what's in the best interest of Chile. So which is it? You got two completely different versions of US foreign policy sitting right next to each other. All right, now we are entering the real heart of this forum's worldview. This is where objective reality, well, it starts to get a little fuzzy. This is the nexus of conspiracy, and this is where things get really strange. And of course, there were UFOs. Had to be, right? A popular YouTube video making the rounds claimed a huge UFO was caught on a telescope camera. It talked about these nearly identical objects being filmed in Chile and then again in Mexico, just days apart, shifting colors and changing shape in the air. The posts present this as undeniable proof. And this right here, just brilliantly illustrates the total internal conflict of these search results, because another post featured a story about this famous Chilean astronomer, Jose Maza, and when he was asked about UFOs at a congressional hearing, he did not mince words. He called it absurd, a joke, and just slammed the media for giving attention to things that, in his words, don't exist, period. Two completely opposing realities, both from the exact same search. Oh, but the conspiracy theories did not stop there. There were posts claiming a secret software called Promise was sold to the Chilean dictatorship to help them identify and disappear dissidents.
Others pointed to Chile being a pilot country for a new digital passport, World ID, framing it as a tool of control. And there were even claims that tanks were rolling down the streets to enforce COVID-19 mandates.
And just to top it all off, there were plenty of references to a pretty well-known theory that the remote Patagonia region, which is in both Argentina and Chile, served as a safe haven for high-ranking Nazi officials after they escaped from Europe after World War II. But amidst all the talk of cosmos and conspiracies, the search also turned up something completely different. These deeply personal, sometimes poignant, and often tragic human stories that just cut right through all the noise. For example, one post was just an obituary for a man named Jeffrey Tolk. He was a mountaineer who was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. But instead of slowing down, he just started climbing the world's highest peaks, including one in Chile. He passed away on a climb in Ecuador, and his obituary ended with this incredibly simple, powerful line. He wanted to live fully, so he did.
And then there was a story behind that quote we started with. It was from a news article detailing this horrific crime from 2012. A cult leader declared his own newborn son was the Antichrist. So, to prevent the end of the world, the 2-day-old baby was sacrificed in a bonfire. The mother, who was in the cult, was a fugitive for years before she was finally arrested. Just an unbelievably tragic story found right next to a post about, who knows, UFOs.
And the randomness just kept on coming. One article was about an employee who got accidentally overpaid by 286 times his salary, and he just resigned and vanished with the money. Then, in a totally different vein, another post mentioned archaeologists finding cocaine in prehistoric mummies. And then a third was a tragic report on deadly wildfires, saying they were made worse by a lack of water in the local fire hydrants. Just all over the place. So after sifting through all this digital chaos, what are we left with? What is the actual portrait of Chile that emerges from this one search term? Well, the answer seems to be there isn't one. Chile is a home for the world's most advanced telescopes. It's a battleground for spies, both past and present. It's a laboratory for globalist conspiracies and a hotspot for UFOs. It's a stage for unimaginable human tragedy, a haven for fugitives from cult leaders to Nazis, and it's a place of incredible human resilience. It is somehow all of these things, all at the same time. And that leaves us with one final and I think crucial question. If this complicated, contradictory, and totally distorted portrait is what you get from a single word in just one corner of the internet, it really forces you to ask, how is our own perception of reality being shaped, warped, and defined by the unique, chaotic streams of information we all consume every single day?